Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well. So today we're actually going to talk about no code, meaning how I can prepare or create a mobile application or a web application without having to do development with native code. In fact, if we're going to make an application, we'll simply need what we call an AI agent that is capable of coding for us. Today, the most well-known one on the market is Cline's. Cline, quite simply, is an agent. It allows, in a local manner, meaning we download it, install it on our machine, send requests, ask questions, and it will code for us. And Cline today comes with a new version that has really provided a great unmet advantage for developers or even for people who are not developers. In this video, we will try to understand it perfectly from installation to the implementation of Cline and test this artificial intelligence for coding, programming, or creating no-code applications. First, we will need what is called Visual Studio Code. So this is an application that you download. So no matter if you have Windows or Mac, you can download it. And this application will actually allow you to really install inside this Visual Studio that effectively extensions. And among the extensions that we will install is this extension of this software called Cline. It is actually this one that will program the software. So for it to work, we first need to install Visual Studio Code. So what I'm going to do is simply go here to the download button, enter here, select if I have a Mac, if I have Linux, if I have Windows. In my case, for this demonstration, I have a Mac, so I simply click here to install this tool. When I do the installation, you will see that I will have an interface like this one. So to have the installation and be able to install Cline here, you first needed to click in this part where the extensions are. You see this button. So this button, when I click here, I can simply type the name of the extension I want to type, and I will type client. As you can see here, I have already done it. I have already installed it. So you will click here once, and then you should find a small button instead of disable. You will find a small button called install. Opao. So when you click to install it, by the way, look, there are 754,000 people who have downloaded it. So it's a very, very popular application. You will see when you install it, it will install on your computer, and make sure to always have the latest version. For example, the very latest version is 3.4.5 and it was just released today. So it really is the very latest version. So once it is installed, you will see, as shown here in the preview, this is a small preview that actually shows you that it's a system where you will type your request here using natural human language to develop something programmed, and it is up to it to program on your behalf. So that's a little bit. There you go. It is said. It request here to fix the errors. It is also capable of editing the code and fixing the errors. It simply provides you with the solutions. You will see this is actually what Client is. We will try to look at the installation. We will understand what features exist in this client, and especially the new features that have been launched today. And we will do a small example to know a little bit about how to run this model, this artificial intelligence, how it runs and how it works locally. I emphasize that it is an application that we download onto our computer, and it is the one that connects with different artificial intelligence models for our programming codes. Before starting the video, I wanted to introduce myself. My name is Fialas. I am a doctor in artificial intelligence and I am a professor at the university. So if this is the first time you are watching my video, I invite you to subscribe here because I publish daily training sessions, practical guides, and tutorials on the latest in artificial intelligence and digital marketing. And for those who are subscribed, I wanted to give them a small gift. It's exclusive access to my pack of 100 courses. So you will find in the descriptions of this video the link to my e-learning platform with a special coupon. And this will give you access to 100 courses. So there are approximately more than 6,000 videos in various fields, marketing, artificial intelligence. So what are you waiting for to start? And now I wish you a good training. So once our client is installed, here I will actually need to run it. When you see it there, when I click here on this icon, so it's the client icon, you will see that I have the possibility. You will see that there are what we call the MCP servers. And this is somewhat what makes the strength of the client today. So what are the MCPs? Well, you should know that MCP stands for Model Context Protocol. It is an open standard that allows developers to establish secure connections between their data sources and artificial intelligence-driven tools such as chatbots or recommendation systems. And mainly, this type of MCP was implemented by Anthropic. So Anthropic is the company that set it up. It's an American artificial intelligence company that established the cloud. So you will see that it is the company that simply created cloud. And this company, in fact, made the model context protocols open and available to several artificial intelligences. This means that today, with Cline, to put it simply, I will show you. Here, I will go here, click on the MCPs, and here I actually have what we call the Marketplace. It's like a store, like an app store or a Google Play Store, where I can find integrations that are ready to be deployed. This means that here, for example, if I want to use Airtable, I simply click on this install button, and in my application I can use Airtable in a very simple and easy way. This means it will prevent the AI agent from having to do additional programming on the source code to make connections with this kind of installation. And you will see that here there are a lot of integrations that are very important, such as Shopify. There's also Spotify, Discord, and Google Calendar. I'll give you a simple example of Google Calendar. Imagine you want to create a chatbot, and in this chatbot, it schedules appointments with clients, and you want that every time an appointment is confirmed, it automatically adds this information to your Google Calendar. So you will need an integration with Google Calendar, and that's where it comes into play. When I click on install, I can obviously do everything related to connecting with Google Calendar, as you can see here. So the assistant will be able to read, create, and manage your Google Calendar events. And that's very, very interesting. It can schedule programs and everything here. What's very interesting is that you'll see there are actually a lot of integrations, including with databases like Superbase. There's also Perplexity research, which means that if I want to use the Perplexity research function of artificial intelligence or the Perplexity model, I can automatically call it here. You'll see that it will give me all the power of Perplexity. Of course, thanks to the Perplexity API, I will integrate the Perplexity API to benefit from it, and I can incorporate it into my program or my website. So if I look, there are a lot of features. You'll see that really there is even a connection with Notion and also Stripe, the electronic payment system with Stripe. So I can use the Stripe server with the Stripe app to do a lot of things and functionalities with it. In any case, there are several. So you can, of course, go here to search. You type, for example, Google, and it gives you all the products that are specific to Google. There is Google Drive. There is also Google Maps. And this is added almost every day. Every day there are new integrations. And this is what makes Cline strong today. Every time you click to install an application here, you will find it installed here. Of course, you can configure it. You can do a lot of things. So here I click on down, and you will see that here, when I use this chat, this is where I ask my questions. At this moment, the system will, if you need it, use integrations when you install them. It will automatically make the connection in an automatic way, saving you a lot of time. So, of course, you need to make sure you have version 3.4, because thanks to this version today, it is actually what made this update, which gave us the possibility to connect to MCP servers. There is also a new feature, which is that every time you launch an integration with these servers, you will find a detailed explanation of your architecture. This actually helps developers a lot, or even people who are developing an application, to perfectly see the flow of information in your application. As a result, you can see exactly the distribution of information, and this greatly helps in detecting errors and solving error problems. So, each time you launch, it will give you what is called a flowchart, which is essentially a diagram with the sequences of the event. As a result, this will help you tremendously in solving problems. Moreover, on the official Cline blog here, it explained a bit about how it works, how it is set up, and also on x.com, where we have a small demo that we can see right now. So, here, a command has been launched and it starts executing. You will see that it provided the architecture, giving you exactly the architecture. When we click on this architecture, I can perfectly see the architecture of our program and the flow and passage of information, which greatly helps in solving the problem. For instance, if we need to call the terminal, if I want to execute or actually call other installations, this kind of shortcut has been added in this version. As a result, I can see it in action mode so that I can run my application in real time. So we will try together to test this application. We will try to see how it works for the client, how it runs, to get a glimpse of the power of this artificial intelligence, which is very interesting for no code. So to obviously run Cline, here I will actually need to set up or create a new project for it to work. So I will go to File and open a new folder that I will create on my computer. So I will go to the desktop, create a folder like this, and we will simply call it test Cline 3.4. In this folder, we will conduct tests together. So it will be in this folder where it will create the different files. But be careful. To start, I need to come here, actually on Cline, and here it is very important to choose which artificial intelligence I want to use. For example, I have connected it with Gemini, but I can click here. So you will see that this artificial intelligence has the ability to connect to multiple providers, meaning several models. When I click, I can, for example, create models with OpenAI to connect ChatGPT. I can also connect DeepSeek. I can connect Mistral. I can actually connect Alibaba Queen. I can connect LM Studio. So all these intelligences are well presented here. We will see that there are actually new features regarding these integrations, and that is what makes this model strong. So we will see here that it has just added Alibaba Queen, the very latest version. And that is actually the strong point of this system, which is a very, very powerful system. So I am going to use a free API here. So I will go with OpenRouter. I have chosen OpenRouter, so that's okay, and I actually need to create my key. This is a key that I can create for free, and to do this I open the site openrouter.ai. Here on this site I create a very simple and free connection. You will see that there are several models there. It's a system that will allow you to connect to a vast number of artificial intelligence models. You can find the DeepSeek R1, you can find Genie Flash 2.0. In any case, there are a lot of models that I can connect to. So to keep it simple, I will click here on keys, and you will see there, you will click to actually create your key for free. So once you create your key, you will simply return to another software and you will paste your key here to simply give this artificial intelligence the ability to connect to models. So for example, it is by default connected to the Cloud 3.5 model, but there are a lot of models. Look here, there are several models. I can, for example, click to simply type free to find, for example, models that are free that I can use. There is the Psycher one, and there are actually Psych Chat. If I just want to use the chat, there is also the Copilot. So if I type Copilot, then normally. Okay, there we go. So then the Copilot indeed. We might perhaps look for it in another way. Maybe we'll try to go through it one by one. But afterwards, you are actually free to choose the model that interests you with the intelligence that suits your needs. But we might stay on Cloud 3, the one that was taken by default here, just to test it actually. I'll show you a little bit how this intelligence works. And so now the system is operational. It's just waiting for... I click here to actually launch my request. This is where I ask my question to conduct tests. So here I can provide it with information or ask questions. So just for testing, let's try, for example, to ask it to perform an information search on, say, a new development in artificial intelligence. And then we can even ask it to create a title or even different pages according to our choice. So here I did a little test actually. Here I am using OpenAuthor. So I used DeepSeek 3, the R1 model. I asked it a question. I asked what is the particularity of the Grok 3 model. Here it naturally used the reasoning mode since I'm using the R1. And now it is returning information to me regarding this artificial intelligence. It's true that it takes a bit more time because it's completely normal. I'm working locally and actually using a free API from DeepSeek R1. However, it obviously takes a bit more time, but I can of course switch to another API, which is a more flexible API where I can perform much more powerful and advanced manipulations. That's why, in fact, I'm going to let it work here. And I'm going to actually have my different MCP servers here. So we're going to try to take an MCP server and test it together to see a little bit about how we make the connection and how we do the work. As you can see here, there are a lot of models. There's Google Calendar, there are databases, and if I search, there are even models for WordPress and others. So even if today we have, for example, about 100 servers, know that every day new servers are added, and that's what makes the system's strength. So I really like testing with Perplexity Research. It's an artificial intelligence that isn't integrated into Cline, but it's a very powerful system that allows me to conduct very advanced research. As a result, I can use Perplexity Research in my application. Imagine I want to create an application or a website and I need data and information. We're going to try to install it. So to install it, you just need to click here and you'll see that it will simply download it. I give it a few moments and then it will carry out all the necessary installation so that this system is first installed locally and then in my project, allowing me to develop and program. So I let it complete the installation so we can continue together. Very well, the installation has been successfully completed. You'll see here, of course, that it has started downloading the files. You'll notice that it has downloaded the files correctly. After downloading the files for this MCP server, it naturally began the installation. And you'll see here, it asked me client has a question. So it posed a question saying, listen, I need the API from Perplexity, which comes from here. Now all the configuration with Perplexity is ready, but of course for Perplexity to provide you with this functionality, you obviously need to obtain an API key from Perplexity so that you can run it correctly. That's why I'm going to call Perplexity. This is the Perplexity. Somewhere we are actually going to use this function deep search, which is a very advanced search function that is very interesting and not found elsewhere, which today actually to know this functionality, the same feature at Google, or rather at ShareGPT from the company OpenAI, it would cost $200 per month to be able to use it. Today on Perplexity, you can use it directly on the Perplexity website, and you have up to 5 free queries per day. There are those who, with the Pioneer mode, could go up to 500 queries per day, and that's really powerful for solving complex problems and for creating very in-depth analysis reports. So for me, it's very interesting. Now I'm simply going to get my API. So I'm going to click here, go to settings, and there you'll see a little button up top called API. So this is what interests me. So I click there and then I can simply create my API. Of course, I have a credit here of up to $2 to use an application with approximately between 100 and 200. So it's more than enough. It's not expensive. So the support from Perplexity. So here, if I need a key, I just need to scroll down here and you will see a small button called Generate. So here we are just going to generate a test key to run this video. There's no need to copy it because it will no longer be usable. It's just for testing. So I click to copy this support and I return here to my system. It asked for the API, so I will simply paste my API here and press enter. It will understand that it's the Perplexity API and will install it in the folder where everything is installed. You saw here, this is the folder we created together. So here, of course, it is running. DeepSeek, in fact, it's the one running, which is why it's in reasoning mode. But for your convenience, if you want to work very quickly, because this one will take time, which is normal because it's free. But if you really want to work very quickly, the ideal is to work here with OpenRouter and simply choose a model that is Peon. You switch here to OpenRouter instead of just using the free APIs. There is also the possibility to actually take a balance here that will allow you to simply use the real DeepSeek APIs, and that will be very, very fast. You just need to click here on credit, as you see, and there I can simply purchase a credit. I think $1 or $2, which can be very, very interesting to run. Just a quick note, there's also DeepSeek. You can directly take the DeepSeek API, because today it's really the most interesting, the cheapest, and the most efficient. But today, actually, going to repurchase the APIs is not possible because DeepSeek is receiving a lot of attacks and doesn't allow repurchasing or getting more. For example, for the API, I have $9, but I bought them just before they stopped the balance. However, if it ever opens up again, I really recommend going with DeepSeek as explained here. it has been suspended because they are receiving a lot of security attacks. As a result, they didn't want to activate the API, but if it ever comes back, it will be very interesting to go there and take the DeepSeek API model, but it's not the free one. So there, it's finished, and what he's telling me is that everything is actually installed and my support is also well set up and I can use Perplexity without any issues. And here he tells me, in fact, if you want us to finish the installation of the dependencies and, well, to actually make an example request, I tell him here, okay, I'm going to continue with the installations. You understood that Cline is programming and developing. He develops, he programs, he installs. I don't type any lines of code. I speak with him in human language. I use a DeepSeek API, which is a free API. It allowed me to connect to several MCP servers. Among the servers, just for testing, I selected the Perplexity Deeper Search 1. That one is very powerful for generating reports. Now imagine that I want to create an application or a website on a specific topic. I will ask it to fill in the information, the data from a search that I want you to conduct with deep research. And that too is very interesting. That means that within my application, my idea, I can create information of that kind, or I can create an application where I ask it to use Perplexity Deep Research to find daily news for me. And I want you to send me an email or create a PDF with that summary and send it to my Google Drive. And I want you to put a reminder in my calendar every day at 9 a.m. to read that PDF and give me the link. There you go. That's an idea I can program without writing a single line of code. You know, if I don't have control over programming, it can actually take a lot of time to develop this kind of application. But here with this system, I type and tell it what I want. I have a whole marketplace space here with integrations. I also have many AI LLMs, and the client is actually the one who develops and programs. For example, here it tells me that I am in plain mode. He wants to switch to action mode. So he can really execute all of this. And now it is waiting for my confirmation. Of course, at the confirmation level, I can do advanced settings where I tell it not to wait for my confirmation and to go all the way. But of course, since I'm explaining, I will go step by step. As you can see here, in terms of the cost of the token, it costs nothing at all because I am working with DeepSeeker free. So all the programming I will do will be free. It's normal that it takes a bit more time, but the paid one, of course, can go much faster. It can process very quickly. And of course, the quality of the result will be different because when we have a paid API, it will use a much more powerful artificial intelligence. Here, I tell it, okay, let's do it. And there you go. So here I actually give it the green light to switch to action mode so that it can simply complete the execution and installations. So there you go. I let it finish. It will do the reasoning and then execute to simply set up the installation of Perplexity, which I can of course later test or deploy in other subjects. Very well. So now Perplexity has been installed. I can simply click here to see it and install it, or simply go to the extension and you will see that there will be a small button here, install it. So for me, what interests me is to add another extension. Let's look for YouTube. There you go. This is an extension that allows you to make summaries and analyze YouTube videos. It works based on the subtitles of those videos. It's an extension that I can use, so I can click here to see the information about this extension. I can show you, so here is the source code of this extension. You will see that it's a very interesting extension that I can obviously deploy and use in a very, very simple way. And here we go. So now we're just going to install it. You just need to click on install here and you'll see that it will start the installation mode. You'll see that here I switched to OpenAI. I actually chose to work with OpenAI with the 3GPT key. I took the 4.0 model just to go very fast. It's a matter of speed. So I go to the site platform.openai.com and I click on case here and I simply took a key, which is not expensive actually. You can also select the second key if you want, actually the one for the O3 mini model, which is even cheaper, but that's just to run the video very quickly. So now it asks me it actually needs to install this feature. I told it okay. So there's the option to actually confirm the command. You'll see there in the command lines, it's doing the necessary installations. Generally, it takes a few minutes, see there? So now it's installing this extension locally so that every time I need to use this extension, I will simply use it without integration, without having to do any programming. So I'm going to leave it. It will take a few minutes to complete all the necessary installations, and once it's done, it will simply give me the result here. Very well, so our YouTube has just been installed. This extension is well installed, and it has even configured it so that this MCP works correctly. So please let me know in the comments if you want us to create a web application together or a mobile application. We will actually use connections with this type of MCP. Just write MCP application in the comments and we will create an application from A to Z together using these MCPs directly in our client software. Thank you very much. Thank you for watching this video. So if you have any questions, feel free to write to me in the comments. I do my best to answer all your questions. And if you like the video and want to see the latest updates, don't hesitate to subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much and see you soon.